recall getting up around 11:30 in the morning. Shortly after getting up, I made myself some ramen and had one of the Wegmans organic lemonades with it. And it turns out those organic lemonade beverages have a whole lot of added sugar because the lemonade without sugar tends to be really sour. So it takes a lot of sugar to make it have the sweet taste we're familiar with. At the time, there were no sparkling ice beverages left. Primary thing I did today was work on that Easter holiday wreath. Styrofoam drawing I started the other day. I believe it was in the early afternoon, around 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. that Mom and I decided together we would go to Wegmans to get some groceries. Primarily in order to get beverages and food for me to have tomorrow. As well as to get some supplies for the seafood broil Mom made at around 6 p.m. Such as these salt potatoes, some pre-chopped onion, and some corn on the cob. We also got lemon butter for the seafood broil and an extra pack of frozen seafood medity, such as scallops, shrimp, and I think some calamari too. We got some milk, which I had with the seafood broil. And when we tried it out at around 6 to 7 p.m., Yeah, while it was enjoyable and sort of a special meal in that it was Mom's first time making a seafood broil, she cooked the meal in using 2 pots. This corn on the cob tastes good with the Creole seasoning Mom used for the seafood broil, although she ended up using too much of that seasoning, and so the seafood melody part ended up tasting salty, and that it kind of tasted like literal table salt a bit. There was also some spice to the seafood broil due to the Creole seasoning, but it was nothing too bad. It made my nose run a bit, but I opted to have milk with the seafood broil. The leftover pizza is currently in plastic sandwich bags. Though obviously I believe those bags are bigger than what's intended for a mere sandwich. One of those big bags has the leftovers of my pan pizza, the other the leftovers of Mom's pan pizza. Pan pizza. I believe there was a period in which I ended up falling asleep in the afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m. Or at least I felt exhausted and just laid down on my bed instead of working on the Easter holiday wreath. Excuse me. There was also a point around that time that Mom came into my room a couple times in order to ask me for help regarding her trying to take classes in order to get, I believe, a certification to teach nursing. At the time, she was taking some online classes, but because the internet here tends to be somewhat slow, and Mom has a pretty old computer, it combined to result in some issues getting videos for the last remaining class to buffer and play, and as such, she had me disconnect this laptop from our internet in the hopes that it would result in the internet for her being more responsive. In that case, that seemed to work. There was a point early on in which due to the slow internet, whenever she tried to enter her password and email / username, presumably, I'm not 100% sure which it was, it would take so long for the website to check the login information that the session would end up timing out, and she would have to refresh and enter the password and email again. Though the issue coincidentally seemed to resolve itself as soon as I came down here from upstairs in my bedroom. I disconnected my laptop from the internet, and that seemed to result in, at least coincidentally, in Mom's online course becoming more responsive. I could keep the internet on my phone because its internet is through mobile data, not our internet. And not our internet. I believe this was around 2 p.m., roughly speaking. As a sort of early afternoon snack, I had one of the sushi packets. The smaller one that I got from Wegmans. On our way out from, while we were checking out our groceries at Wegmans, the aisle we stopped at happened to have my former aide from my senior year of high school, a believe as a Leviathan to access BR. And she was now a cashier slash bagger for Wegmans at the aisle we randomly decided to go down. I believe it was primarily I who made that decision, since it was around that time I was driving the shopping cart. Mom drove the cart earlier as we decided which groceries to get. I think she said we spent some $200 on groceries. I didn't recognize my former aide at first. Neither did Mom. And she didn't recognize me either until some time had passed and she had scanned all of our groceries. She suddenly recognized me again, although she got the name of the high school I went to incorrect, unless they've since changed the name of that high school. Anyways, it was nice to see her again. I ended up telling her of my graduation from college with a double major degree in political science and criminal justice, my hobby of drawing on styrofoam with Sharpie markers, although I didn't show her any of the drawings on my phone. And I told her about how I've been applying for paralegal positions through LinkedIn. Anyway, it was around the time Mom was preparing the seafood broil after completing that online class that I uploaded yesterday's my dinner video to YouTube. I'd say it was around 6 p.m. Around 6 p.m. as I believe she was cooking everything in the pots, marinating the Creole seasoning. To make it taste less salty, we ended up having to kind of take the actual seafood, salt, potatoes, and corn and stuff out of its original broth and basically dilute the seasoning with water from the kitchen sink. I think we basically had to do this twice before we had to do this one time actually for it to taste noticeably less salty. The first time Mom tried simply pouring water over the plate, in which case it was a real plate, not a paper plate. That certainly added some water and made it look more like soup, but it didn't really help with the saltiness. It was only really helped when, again, we scooped the solid foods out of the newly created broth and then just essentially replaced the broth with pure sink water in order to basically dilute the seasoning. As for after the seafood broil meal, ever since I've just been working on, again, the Easter holiday wreath. As styrofoam drawing. I'm currently not sure whether to give it, when it's finished, to either mom's parents or dad's parents. They would both probably want an Easter-themed styrofoam drawing as a present at some point.